Hey, what's going on? This is the Knicks State of Mind show. I am Quis, host, joined as always by my co-host Inf. Inf, how's everything?
Chilling, it's a good day. It's a Knicks win, so it's a good day.
Yeah, I can hear you on that one. I think I was not surprised to see how the Knicks were doing in that game. I knew Quickley was going to have it in him because it seems like Quickley has one good game, one off game, and I knew he was going to come out and do his thing. So that's definitely a positive. How do you feel about the game?
I mean, honestly, like I watched the game from the beginning, and the way that it started off, once I saw that we was down 3-11, I'm like, but then they subbed quickly in, and we took off, and we didn't stop from there. So I'm glad
Yeah.
Tibbs made the adjustment early enough to like, all right, we got to get something going.
Well, the thing is, Tips kind of stuck with his rotation because I think Quickly came in right around like the 3 minute mark of the first quarter, which is usually when he starts putting the subs in. I mean, I think he had to put Nerlens Noel a little early because Mitch started getting into some foul trouble. But once he put Quickly and Rivers in, you saw how this offense can start moving and stop being so stagnant. And I think a lot of that stems from the fact that Tibbs is so reliant on Elfrid Payton. And I can't really understand why.
No, yeah, I mean, just off the fact that, like you mentioned, once these two got put in the game, because in that first half, quickly he was like 2 for 13. It's like he was having a pretty bad game, but the offense was still flowing with him just being on the court, him finding people, him getting assists. With Peyton, you don't get any of that. You don't get the spacing. You don't get actual assists because he's not creating any shots for anyone who's not named Julius Randle. So it becomes rough. Shout out to May 4th. Sup, Nick Uz. That's funny. And
I
salute Steve Fox.
Yeah, Stevie Fox from Knicks at Night podcast. Shout out to you. Thanks for pulling up and joining the chat. Yeah, that game, I don't know. Alfred Payton and this love affair that Tibbs has with him is what's really gonna stress me out because we've seen when Quickley is on the court, Quickley is the best option for us at point guard. So I don't understand why Tibbs keeps trying to force Payton not only on his team but also on us fans. Like we see how dynamic the team looks when IQ is in the game, and then when we compare it to moments when Payton is in there, and it's like it's super stressful. Like there was one time Payton had a wide open three, and homie shot an air ball. The ball was like 3-4 inches to the left, and I'm sitting there like, yo, like I could have made a better. I probably wouldn't have made it, but I would have had a much better attempt at least. Like, come
At least
on,
his backboard, at least.
I would have nipped the rim or something. Like, come on, man.
No, I mean, the one thing that I did notice about this game, though, is that I think Tibbs is finally starting to realize because this is the first game where Quickley played more minutes than Peyton. Peyton only played 23 minutes this game, while Quickley, he was at 24, close to 25. He was like 8 seconds short of 25 minutes. So hopefully this is the start of Tibbs realizing, all right, when Quickley's on the floor, things run more smoothly. Let's give him the bulk of the minutes instead of Peyton. And then hopefully 2-3 games down the line, Quickley ends up being our starting point guard.
Yeah, I think Quickly played more minutes than Peyton against the Hawks. I think he had like 29 minutes and Peyton had like 23, 24. But I think when you see Quickly and his performance, it's clear 24 minutes is not enough. This guy is doing a lot for this team in such a small sample size. I think it's now time for Tibbs to kind of allow Quickly to have a little bit more free reign, even though I don't think Tibbs holds him down too much. I just think Tibbs doesn't put him in for long enough stretches, and he goes back to Peyton when Quickly is hot. And I don't understand why he continues to do that.
No, yeah, and it's not even just Peyton and Quickly. He does that with anyone. Like once somebody seems like they're getting going, he would just sub them out because he wants to stick to his rotations. I'm just like, if someone has the hot hand, let's see how far that goes. Let him miss 2-3 shots in a row, and then his hot hand's over. But nah, it doesn't matter if you killing, if you're not killing, he will stick to the rotation, which sucks because for a lot of instances when someone isn't killing, like mostly Peyton, he'll still keep them in because it's a part of his minute rotation. I'm just like, how is that smart basketball?
Yeah, and people keep saying Payton is a veteran point guard. He's good defensively, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm like, yo, we just sat here and watched him get torched by Lillard. So what we're getting defensively, that's going to be better than what we get from IQ defensively. I don't feel like that gap really overcomes the ineptitude of Payton's offense. Like Quickley is supremely better or supremely more gifted than Elfrid Payton offensively, and I don't think the distance between the two defensively justifies Payton remaining the starter and getting the bulk of the minutes. I like to see that it's starting to shift a little bit closer to IQ than it is to Payton, but I feel like the team needs to give IQ that kind of responsibility of being the starting point guard and see what he can do, especially when we have such a deep draft coming up. I want to see what this roster is. I want to see what roles these guys can fill. So when we get to, next year's draft or this year's draft, we can at least fully assess our roster and see what players we have to bring in to complement what we already have.
No, I mean, I agree. I feel like we're not going to be able to see that unless we give the bulk of the minutes to these players. And May the 4th, he said the scoring of Quickley hides his flaws, and he has a few of them.
He has flaws. I don't think it hides his flaws. I just feel like what he gives us offensively is just not something we get from any other player on the court. Maybe somewhat from Rivers, but yes, IQ does have some flaws. He needs to work on his left a little bit. He needs to stop picking up his dribbles, too soon. Yeah. He needs to stop jumping to pass the ball because, I watch a lot of Immanuel Quickley film. That's kind of who I focus on in my film sessions. So I see the flaws in his game, but when he's out there, yes, there's some hiccups, but even with those flaws, he's still a better option than Elfrid Payton from what I'm seeing,
No, yeah, and I feel like a lot of those flaws you mentioned are things that you learn while playing. Mm-hmm. You can't practice not jumping in the moment when you're passing. Like, those are things you can't practice outside of being in game. It's like coach needs to see it happen in game, pull him to the side and say, stop doing that, and let him continue to play just to get into the habit of not doing those things. Let me see. I'm watching video. Anthony Vasquez says I'm watching videos and nobody's guarding Payton when he's at 3-point line. That's a big time liability. I mean, because they know there's no stretching the floor. So if I see Payton, I'm like, all right, let me guard the paint because he's probably going to drive. And if he doesn't drive, he's going to miss. So it makes us so easy to guard when Payton is on the field.
Yeah.
Court.
I mean, yeah, I do the same things. You talk multiple sports, you get them crisscrossed a lot of times.
Yeah.
But, I mean, until we figure out what we're going to do with Payton, and the fact that he has that no trade clause really complicates things even more, because even if we do insert IQ into the starting lineup, then we're still going to have to deal with Payton in the second unit. And I think he's just going to do the same exact thing with those guys.
Well, yeah, no, it's always going to be stagnant with him. Let me see. Somebody just mentioned it. Anthony Bass, he was like, I'd rather see Frank instead of Payton in rotation. The problem with Frank is that he doesn't take the wide open shots.
He doesn't take the wide open shots, but Payton bricks all the wide open shots. Homie shot like 27%.
I would rather someone not take the shot and pass into the paint or something than somebody just straight airball. It's like that's a waste of a possession.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to see some more Frank too. You kind of forget because Tibbs doesn't go and play them. You kind of forget that we still have Frank Nettie and we still have DSJ, who we're going to talk about toward the end of the show. What you mean, not really?
I mean, because he just requested to go to the D-League, so he's not even.
We'll talk about that at the end of the show. But up until then, you forget that we had him though, because Tibbs doesn't go to them.
And Frank's been healthy since for like the past 2-3 games.
And then he's leaving everybody out there when we're up, 15, 20 points against the Cavs or whatever it was in garbage time. I'm like, put these guys in the game so we see what they have. Like, I really don't understand what Tibbs is doing with his rotations. I understand, guys were out there playing well, but if we're up and we have a sizable lead, let's see what Frank and DSJ and them can do out there. Even Obi should have got more run. Kevin Knox should have got more run. I mean, let's actually pull up the box score because I do have the box score.
Oh, man. Listen, Kevin Knox was out there just running, is all I'm going to say.
So Garland led the Cavaliers with 24 points, 9 of 17 from the field, 2 of 2 from the free throw line. Let's go to the actual box score.
And one card they bring back Ron Baker. I remember Ron Baker though. He was decent. Must have had a little jump shot on him. I respect it. I respect it. He was decent.
So let's see. Once again, Emmanuel Quickley led the team in points. He had 25 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. And I guess, a lot of people can argue and say his assist numbers aren't as high as you would like from a starting point guard. But you see there's flashes where he can be he has some real nice passes. There was one play between him and Noel, and he had a nice bounce pass to get Noel into the paint. Unfortunately, Noel didn't go up with the shot, but then they reset. And that was the same play that IQ found him again on a nice alley-oop. Yeah. And, IQ shows moments where he can be that floor general. So I just want to see him actually get that opportunity, to be honest. And then here goes his co-main, I guess, if you want to say. In the second unit, you've got Austin Rivers. He had 13 points, 3 assists, 3 rebounds. He went 6-11 from the field, 1 of 6 from 3. I don't like that 3-point shooting.
No, yeah, that's right.
When you win by 21 points, you're nitpicking at that point. And then RJ, I liked RJ. RJ held it down in that first half when things were a little bit stagnant for the team as a whole. And I think he was that force that the team kind of relied on. And, I'm not the biggest Julius Randle fan, and Julius Randle has been playing great. But the more I see the team actually succeed and win on days when Julius Randle doesn't have it, it makes me feel a lot better if the team decides Julius Randle is not the one to continue building with long term. Because if we see on games where Julius Randle's having an off night, RJ still able to give you 24, Quickley's giving you 25, and you're still getting some contributions, then at least if the team decides to make a drastic move and try to do something of that nature, then at least you can see there's moments where RJ can kind of carry the weight, carry the load, and there's also moments where IQ can chip in and help him out.
That's a fact. And we got some more comments here. Shout out to Carl Jean Baptiste. He said, "What's good, Q and Inf? We don't need to play these garbage PGs. Let's keep it 100." Listen, we got to see. We have to play them just off the strength of, if they play good in those little minutes that we play them, their trade value goes up, Because now,
that's a fact. Good.
Get nothing for them.
Yeah, exactly. They're at the end of the bench. Nobody's going to want to really give us anything for them. So then at that point, they're just wasted cap space. And I like the fact, I guess we'll jump into it right now. I like the fact that DSJ was willing to say, okay, send me down to the G-League. Let me get some minutes. Let me get some burn to prove to you guys that I can still compete in this league and I can still be a solid player. I like that. I like to hear that from DSJ. He's not getting his minutes up here. He's still comfortable enough to say, all right, let me head down and play at a lower level of competition and see what I can do.
No, exactly. Let him shine the way some of these other players be shining, I'm hoping that he ends up looking like Jimmy Fredette overseas, just start having a 70-point game, and then we're like, all right, let's bring him back up, and then let's ship him out somewhere. Let's trade him,
Well, if he's playing pretty good, before I ship him off, I might say, all right, let's see what he can do, in replacement of Elfrid Payton. Because if DSJ goes down to the G-League and he starts cooking with gas down there, then maybe we don't have to continue to search and try to have these wild trade ideas that people are coming up with to kind of supplement this roster. Maybe we have it in-house. It's something I've been trying to say time and time again. I feel like we have, talent to be competitive. This season to me is not, a sprint to the 10th seed or a sprint to the playoff. This is a time where this new regime can assess the talent on the roster and make informed decisions. Because time and time again, we've seen the Knicks ship off talent, and those players, by the grace of God, somehow, find that flame, find that love of the game, and they start performing to levels we didn't see with the Knicks. So I just want to make sure we know what we have before we start discarding some of these players.
No, I mean, I agree. One of the most important things you said is that like we have a new regime, and this is literally their first year. They didn't make any crazy trades. They didn't do anything. They literally just took the roster we had, got us a new coach, made some nice little draft picks, but there was no big blockbuster trades. There was nothing, none of that. We're just seeing the beginning of what these guys are trying to bring, what Leon Rose and Thibodeau are trying to actually do here.
And
And
shout
the
out to
fact that,
Blorange Tears. I'm sorry to cut you off though. And
no, you're good.
shout out to Blorange Tears. Make sure you check out their podcast, Knicks at Night podcast. It goes on every night at 11:45. Make sure you head over there. Currently, I'm the reigning debate champ, so you'll see me over there nights and either in the chat or up on the panel. Shout out to them. Make sure you check them out. Go ahead, Inf. Continue.
What was I even saying?
My fault. I completely. I thought you had finished your point, and I was just about to start, and I was like, "All right, man. I already started."
Oh no, just we're just seeing the beginning of what this regime is doing. So like nobody needs
Yeah.
to rush it. We don't need to make any crazy trades because this is just year one. This is literally just year one.
Exactly. And you know, when you see games like last night and you see like I don't think we have as bad of a roster as Vegas said in the beginning of the year. You know, especially bringing in Obi. Obi is not being utilized in the right way. You know, that's what I think personally. I feel like we should get him going to the basket a lot more than to just try to have him as a spot up shooter. Like we saw what he was able to do in college, and now we're asking him to do something completely different, knowing that he's already a project. So we'll have to see how that works. But I still think that Obi has talent. We just have to use him in the right way. And the same thing with Kevin Knox. I'm looking at the box score. Kevin Knox only played 8 minutes, and I'm sitting there like as I'm reviewing the film, I really can't think of Kevin Knox really doing anything that stands out. And this should be a year where we should be seeing exactly what we have from Kevin Knox because this team still needs a wing in the starting lineup, and we have to see if Kevin Knox is going to be that answer. And unfortunately, Tibbs isn't really giving him that opportunity to really show and prove it.
I mean,
Oh yeah, I forgot how you feel about Kevin Knox.
no, like the way I feel right now after like actually watching a lot of the Knicks games and stuff, I'm honestly ready to move on from Kevin Knox. If we can get something decent for him, I'm fine with the Knicks shopping him to other teams. I'm not even in the front.
I'm based on his performance so far, yes, but then I'm still a little hesitant because, like I was saying earlier, we ship players off too soon. You know, Kevin Knox is still extremely young. Kevin Knox, I don't think is anywhere near, you know, the age that an NBA player starts to really have that upward trajectory, especially a player that came in as young, only had 1 year in high school, and he really wasn't a top 2 or top 3 talent to think he's going to come in and make waves initially. But I still think we haven't seen enough to say, all right, this is some guy we should have and build or continue to build around or build with. So I understand where you're coming from about moving him, but I'm still just a little bit hesitant because I feel like when it comes to his age and when it comes to what previous regimes were trying to do with him, we haven't really put him in the best positions. But now, like you always say, we have his own coach and he's still showing us this. So I'm conflicted, honestly, when it comes to Kevin Knox.
No, exactly. That's the thing. Like, it's the fact that he can't even show that he's worth being a consistent role player. Like,
yo, you going at him, Inf, right now.
I mean, no, like, no. I mean, he could take offense. It is what it is. But we used the 8th pick on him, and this is year 3, and he can't even get consistent role player minutes. Like, that means that not just what we're seeing on the court, whatever he's doing in practice isn't telling the coach, listen, I need to play him more minutes. He's showing improvements, so let's see what he can do out there. Clearly, he's just out there doing nothing despite all the resources we've put towards him. Yeah. So I feel like at this point,
and
let's see if we can get.
Go ahead, finish your thought.
At this point, let's just see what we can get for him.
Yeah, I mean, I was a little bit upset, or I was really upset when they were only allowing him to shoot corner threes or catch and shoot threes. But then as I'm watching him play and as I'm watching the season progresses, it's like anytime he puts the ball on the floor, he has the same hands as Mitchell Robinson trying to catch a pass. It's like he puts the ball on the floor, and every time he tries to gather, the ball just slips out of his hand. Like, is he nervous? Are nerves getting to him? Because I really don't understand why he's fumbling the rock anytime he's trying to gather and go to the rim. To me, it makes no sense. To me, it's extremely frustrating because a lot of time when he does it, he actually has the angle and he actually has the step. So when I'm trying to analyze the player and look at what he's able to bring and provide, every time he's about to get to that point where I'm like, all right, that's a good move, he throws it all away by causing a turnover.
I mean, exactly. That's why I'm over it. I'm like, I see why he doesn't get the minutes. He hasn't added anything when he's on the court. Like he just hasn't. Like he just hasn't. He hasn't done anything. And we got a lot of chatter going on in the chat regarding star players. Wizards have 2 elite players. One never made his teammates better, and one can't shoot. What does a star truly mean?
They're talking about being stars.
Yep, and then Nate Force said having stars is foolish. They want you to believe.
Yeah, later on in the live or in this video, we're going to touch on some of the trade rumors, but I just want to finish with what I wanted to talk about in terms of the actual game last night and what Tibbs is doing with the players that we currently have. I kind of want to focus on them for now, and then let the chat talk about that, and then we'll join in with them a little bit more. So, Mitchell Robinson. This is one of the first games where we've seen him actually be in foul trouble.
I was gonna say, like, watching this game, I'm starting to get annoyed with Mitchell Robinson because it's just like you go out and you make that whole tweet and then delete it about, oh, just let me play or whatever. Then you get minutes.
Inf, my fault. Let me shout out to Foy Trey. Foy Trey. You were almost to reading his comment. And he was looking forward to it, it seems like. So let me just read it real quick. So Foy Trey says, instead of always going for big fish, the Knicks should participate in more 3+ team trades to see what pieces/picks we can pick up. We don't always have to get a superstar, above average shooter would be a check mark. I agree with you on that, and we'll dive in a little bit further later on in the show.
Oh, yeah, I was saving that comment for when we actually go dive into trades.
Copy, because I was looking at it too. So yeah, with Mitchell Robinson, you said you're upset with him?
No, yeah, I'm getting annoyed because first you make this comment about you make this complaint about, oh, let me play, and then you get minutes. He consistently gets minutes. He's a starter, And then I'm just watching him out there being dirt. I'm just getting annoyed, and he keeps on falling on the floor for no reason, as if he's trying to injure himself. Like every time he falls on the floor, he's grabbing his lower back. I'm like, so stop falling. They didn't push you. I watched the play closely.
Yeah.
But it
wasn't the greatest game for him because if you look at the team, the only 2 players that had negative plus minuses were Mitchell Robinson and our friend Kevin Knox, which is crazy to think. And if you look at Nerlens Noel's plus minus, it was plus 24. That's wild.
Yeah.
Compared to Mitchell Robinson.
He only took 2 shots. But he was just out there playing defense. That's it.
Yeah, playing hard. Yeah. I mean, Mitchell Robinson got a lot of blocks, something that he's known for. Yeah. But he was getting in a lot of foul trouble, and I think that's something he has an issue being a post defender against bigs that can really overpower him, and you see that a lot with Andre Drummond. You saw that also with Miles Turner and Sabonis, even though Randall kind of had the assignment more so with Sabonis, but. Mitchell's gonna have to get better, and this was not the game to have a stinker, especially coming off his tweets. I made that video earlier. You can check it out.
Hey, he embarrassed himself.
I will go. So,
I will. It's just a game, but no, that's embarrassing. Like, how you go demand him more minutes, and then you play terrible against a really good center. Like, that's the kind of game where you're supposed to make your name. Like, I killed Drummond. Like, give me minutes. But instead, he had you looking dumb the entire game, and they was down 20. Like, it's crazy.
Hold on, wait. Just got the first ever super chat to the channel. Shout out Jonathan JD. Appreciate the super chat. Let me just read what he said. Give him some shine. Stay tuned to Sports Vibes TV. A lot of good things in the works for the consumer. No Mitch Lander. He is big reason why we are a top-ranked defense. Inf, what you have to say to that?
Listen, I said what I said, and I stay by it. He's just been playing terrible. Well, granted, I'm talking about offensively. He's been playing crazy, like falling on the floor and all that. It's all offense, not defensively, but he's just getting me annoyed.
Yeah,
He's not like
he's doing dumb stuff on picks, and he does it a lot. But now they're starting to kind of to pick up on it. He's kind of throwing elbows. He's sticking his knee out, tripping people. So, I mean, Mitch is gonna have to get better. He's definitely gonna have to get better, and he's gonna have to stay off social media. Like, I can't say it any other ways than that. There's certain things that are meant to be dealt internally. Us as fans don't need to know you want more time or more possessions where you're actually putting the ball up. That's for you to hash out with Tibbs, for you to hash out with Julius Randle, IQ, and Alfred Payton, because he's unfortunately still getting minutes. But that's not something you should go on your social media and post. And he knew he messed up because instantly he deleted it. So not the greatest decision for a young Knick player right now.
no, and this is his third season, right? Like he knows better than that. He knows better than that.
You
And
would
I
think
feel
he
like,
would know better than that, but
and I feel
never
like
know in the
what
league.
he needs is he just needs to bulk up. Like he's still too frail. He's big, but he's frail. Like he needs to bulk up that way he can truly battle against these bigger centers without having to play tricks like poking elbows and putting knees out and stuff. Like he just needs to get stronger. That's it. Hit the weight room.
Yeah, and he work on his technique too. A lot of the things I'm seeing out there, he's not really sound mechanically. Like I said, the issues with his screens and a lot of the things he's doing that are causing him to create fouls, not create fouls, but foul other players. And I don't know, it's not as frustrating because we've seen stretches where he's been doing the right thing. But as a young player, it's understandable that he has some mental lapse. But the what he was doing out there with the Cavs, I don't want to see moving forward. He's definitely got to be better.
And WAM Productions Inc. said Mitch needs to get a mid-range shot. You notice he's open a lot in the mid-range. This is his third year. He should show some additional development. What do you think about Mitch developing a shot?
I feel like it's hard to really ask Mitch to shoot jump shots when he's shooting, sub 50% from the free throw line. That's why when I read the tweet from him, I'm like, he can't be saying that he wants to go out there and start shooting threes, because there's no way we're going to give you license to shoot threes if you can't even shoot over 50% from the free throw line. Now, when it comes to mid-range, yes, you would like Mitch to have some sort of mid-range shot, but, if you're going to look at his mid-range shot and compare it to his free throw, I don't know. Yeah, he's going to have to show it to me, like he can actually be consistent with that shot before I really give him license to shoot. And maybe that's why every time he gets the ball either at the elbow or somewhere outside of the paint, he's constantly looking to give it back up. Because maybe Tibbs is saying, hey, these are not your friends from the Y. You can't go out there and act like you're, our version of Kevin Durant. It's not going to work. So get a ball up and get back in the paint and grab an offensive rebound and a putback. Maybe that's where some of the frustration is coming from. Because maybe in Mitch's head, he knows when he's out there in New Orleans at the Y, he's out there, doing his thing. But I don't think that's going to work in the NBA.
I mean, honestly, I'm not a fan of Mitch developing a jump shot. Like, I'm really not, because I don't want him to start relying on that. I don't want that to be his go-to. Because he's shown.
But I think that'll expand his game. Like, I want him to eventually have that in his repertoire, because it'll open things up for the entire team. It's just when I see him and I see like how he's shooting from free throw and some of his mechanics, I'm like, okay, is that going to necessarily be something that's going to be beneficial to the team? I don't want him going out there and practicing it during games, but if he's got it under, if he's got it down packed and he's able to make it at a consistent clip, then yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but I feel like he just still has so much work to do offensively when it comes to just the paint press, like as a center playing like post up. Like, I feel like he just has a lot more to focus on that he needs to improve on before even thinking about a mid-range shot. And then since we're still on the topic of Mitch, May the 4th said Mitch meant to do exactly what he did. Trade him now before he walks for free. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, we have him for another year, I think, before he can even decide to walk. So if we were going to trade him, it would either be this offseason or it would be at next year's trade deadline. But I still think when Mitch is on his game and when Mitch is out here being a defensive force, I think this team does a lot of good things, and he's shown a good connection with RJ in the pick and roll. Those two have shown some chemistry, and I want to see him work a little bit more with IQ. I think the fact that IQ has not been inserted into the starting lineup, I don't see him play enough with Mitch, and I really want to see what that kind of pairing can do in extended minutes. So, I mean, yeah, I don't want to. I wouldn't want to trade Mitch right now. I think we can still do a lot of positive with him on the team, and just work with him and try to clear up some of those mental errors. 'Cause I think most of it is just mental errors. And now the question is going to be: is he going to mature enough to actually correct those?
No, I mean, I agree. I feel like we should still give him the remainder of this season, and
Shout
maybe
out to BD4. Thank you. I gotta stop interrupting you. My fault, bro. My fault. My fault.
and at least half of the next season before like thinking about trades. But I'm starting to think that like he's nearing his ceiling, and his ceiling isn't as high as we had hoped in the beginning.
You think so? Because what do you think Mitch's ceiling is then? If you think he's nearing his ceiling,
I think his ceiling is along the lines of like a Kendrick Perkins.
that's wild.
I
You know
mean,
what's funny? When I play 2K, IQ's jump shot kind of looks like Kendrick Perkins' jump shot. You ever played 2K my player, and you set up, what was that? Maybe that was like 2K17, 2K16. They used to set up Kendrick Perkins' jump shot, and then they used to do the little that IQ always do it with the little leg flare.
no, yeah,
Yo, he said Garland up. It was either Garland or Sexton where he shot the three and kind of kicked them, and then they called a foul on them.
no, yeah. And then they challenged it, which was trash. But the three still.
No, I don't think that's the one they challenged. I think they challenged the one where Nerlens Noel tried to undercut his own teammate. That's the one they challenged, and then they won. They didn't win the other one. I think he kicked Sexton. He kicked Sexton, and Sexton started crying about it because it was a 4-point play. Yeah,
Now, he was
that's
killing
cool.
it.
Had 2 4-point plays in the same game. When was the last time that's ever been done by Nick? I know they said the last time by one was Marcus Morris, but 2 4-point plays? Come on, and they don't want to start him.
No, they wild. And then like that play where he just cut around and he had a free lane to the basket, and my son just yammed the and one.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, he traveled though.
I did.
They traveled.
He got it way too early. But I'm like, listen, they ain't calling. So
that's one of his flaws. He has troubles when he has to gather and there's things he has to work on. But the fact that he was able to show me him actually boofing it on somebody was a level of his game I didn't know he had. I didn't know he could attack the basket that strong. So to see him throw it down on somebody, I was like, oh, all right. This is something new. This is something different. I thought they saying you were a shooter. Now you playing above the rim? Let me find out.
Nah, yeah, like I didn't even know that he had that in him.
Yeah, because when he was coming out in the draft, everybody was saying he's a shooter. Also, we saw him do a nice little mid-range game too. I seen him in the last 2 games. Was it 2 or was it the game before that, I think, where he's shown an ability to not only do the little floater, but he's also been able to do a little fadeaway mid-range jump shots. He's showing a lot in his game that a lot of the pundits and the critics really didn't talk about in the draft. So I think they really found a gem late in the second round. Late in the first.
Nah, yeah, and everybody criticized that pick. And oh man, a lot of people saying Infant is not a Mitch fan. No, it's not that I'm not a Mitch fan, because I feel like Mitch is great defensively, and I just feel like, I feel like we haven't seen much improvement except defensively. And that Kendrick Perkins comparison, like Kendrick Perkins wasn't dirt. Like he in his prime, he was nice. There's a reason why he was a top pick, and he got a chip. He played defense. He did. He scored when they would assist to him, and that's how Mitch is scoring.
You said Kendrick Perkins was good. Kendrick Perkins was just out there getting 6 fouls and some rebounds.
Right. Yeah,
he was a serviceable center for, and he did exactly what the Celtics needed.
Exactly.
But I wouldn't call being called Kendrick Perkins a compliment.
But he's a champion.
If you went to Mitch, he's a champion, cool, but like
he's a champion. Come on,
I hear you. There's a bunch of champions that didn't do nothing.
All right, so
what's the dude that was on the Wizards for 3 chips and then he went to the Raptors and got one too? McCall or whatever his name is. He got a championship too.
Patrick McCall.
Yeah, he got a championship.
He got 3 of them things.
You go call IQ Patrick McCall right now, and he bet you right now he gonna feel disrespected. He gonna be like, "What? Nah, man, I'm about to be the starting point guard of the Knicks. Quit playing with me."
All right, so then why is Mitch different than Perkins?
Salute, Simba. What's up? Say it again. Why is who?
So why is Mitch different from Perkins? What
I think Mitch just physically he's more he's like lanky. He's got more. I don't know Kendrick Perkins' number, but it looks like he has more reach. He's more disruptive defensively. Kendrick Perkins was cool, but Kendrick Perkins was more a physical big man back in the era where we had more low post defenders. I mean low post presences offensively. I think with Mitch, his length, his ability to run out and block 3-point shots when he's standing damn near in the paint. I think all those, the ability to impact the game defensively is much greater with Mitch than I think Kendrick Perkins. I just think maybe intellectually when it comes to knowing the game, Kendrick Perkins probably has the edge. But if Mitch could unlock even a slither of some sort of offensive repertoire, Mitch would be a problem, I think. He's actually staying on the court. If he can, because right now, Mitch will give you 8-10 points and they don't run a play for him. They don't even try to get him to rock for the most part. He just gets some spare buckets here or there. So now imagine if we were running 3 or 4 plays for him and he just made 2 or even 3, seeing that he's shooting like 70-something% from the field. Like, imagine what kind of problem he would be. So I think he has a lot more potential if he were to reach his ceiling than a Kendrick Perkins, but maybe his floor, I don't know, honestly, his floor would be what he is right now. And would that be better than Kendrick Perkins? I think the Celtics would be a better team, I think, with Mitch than Kendrick Perkins during those playoff runs. I mean, not to discount Perkins for what he did. I don't think you think KG playing that?
No, I mean,
KG will grab Mitch by his hair, like, listen here, fella, you better protect this page. Like it goes back depended on it.
That was a different era. That was where people were posting up, and we see how Mitch does when he goes against an offensive center.
The Celtics was still a sound defensive team. So the same way, yeah, but exactly. So there's still sets with Thibodeau that. Actually, we talk about it. Thibodeau was on the same team with the Celtics. So I would think we would still be they would still be a pretty good team if you took out Mitch and replaced him for Perkins. I don't think Perkins did much for the Celtics. Yeah, he was a solid veteran. He wasn't a veteran. He was young back then. He was I don't know what Perkins gave them back in 08. Honestly, he wasn't that great to me. He wasn't.
Champion.
I'd rather have Mitch on that team than Kendrick Perkins. Kendrick Perkins just doesn't do it for me. Even when he went to the Thunder, he just doesn't do it for me.
Let me see. I think first off, the chat's been going crazy. I saw some. They mentioned other names. Like I saw McGee. I saw Jared Allen.
In the chat, they actually had a question: who's the worst out of the 5 players? What was it? Miles Turner, Jared Allen, Mitch. And I can't remember who the other 2 were, but we were talking about that. What was that? A week ago?
Oh yeah. When we were talking about free agents to go for, like between Jared Allen or John Collins, and like how Jared Allen and Mitch are basically the same.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I feel like Jared Allen has a decent offensive game. Not good, but decent.
He didn't look that great. Well, he did decent. At 15 points now. Okay.
Exactly.
I know he missed I'm saying that because he missed an easy layup, and I was like, how the hell this dude missed that? I forgot when it was either like in the second or the third quarter. He got a offensive rebound or a pass, and he went up and he missed a point blank layup, and I was like, damn, this guy's what's going on? Oh, he left all his mojo in Brooklyn.
Yeah, Brooklyn looking sad. They just signed former Nick Iman Shumpert.
He's still in the league?
No, he wasn't. But they're finalizing a deal with Trump, so he's going to join the Nets.
How dare they? It made mine Shumpert. That's terrible.
I mean, you know what?
They picking up people off their couches.
Literally, they're like, "Yo, bro,
that's wild." They just
I really hope they don't get Drummond though. I hope the Cavs just keep Drummond out of spite for this season
instead of get Drummond. They're gonna get Drummond, but
I hope not. Keep him out of spite, like, because what benefit do they have of giving him a buyout? Like, why would you not want to just pay him out the remainder of this season and be done with it?
Save money, and remember, in the financial climate right now, teams are dying to save. Well, I won't say they're dying to save that money, but teams are trying to save money where they can. So if you can pay Drummond a little bit less than to go than you would have paid him to stay, then somebody that's over there with a calculator is going to say it makes financial sense. So that's why they'll do the buyout. And also, you don't want to keep players against their will, especially when they're on like contracts like that, because then word gets around the league and agents who start trying to shoo their players away from going over to the Cavs. And remember, the Cavs, they don't have much to attract talent, so they really don't want to turn people off or turn players off from coming over there. So they'll probably let him go. All right, so let's talk about some of these rumors we've been hearing.
Amazing. Shout out to Orange Tears who keep saying that I'm bugging. I respect it. Perkins was a big deal at the time. His absence hurt the Celtics versus Lakers Game 7. Exactly. Cully knows Perkins.
Yes, but we are not going to put the Celtics up without a defensive presence at center. We're just going to take Perkins away and put Mitch. And I think you'd still have the same kind of defensive intensity, even though it's not something we can do realistically and we could debate it all day. I'm just saying, I think if Mitch was out there, you probably see the same defensive effort. It's not like Kendrick Perkins was out there giving you 5 blocks a game, 3 steals. He wasn't out there playing Ben Wallace type defense.
And then Jonathan JD said, at least say Tyson Chandler. See, I'll say Tyson Chandler when Mitch is Defensive Player of the Year. Until then, come on. Don't disrespect the former Nick.
All right, so Wham Productions Incorporated, or INC, it's not written out, says Knicks need to try to go after Beal. And what you think about that?
I mean, like I said on the last time when Beal was mentioned, Beal is amazing. Offensively, he's clearly almost unmatched. I'm definitely a top 2 guard in the league, but he's proven season after season that he's not the one to bring his team. He needs a full team already set, and then he's just that guy. So trading for him it'd be like similar to the Melo situation, because we'd have to give up everything for him. So I feel like he's not worth what we would have to give up to get him, because then we'll just be the Wizards. We'll be at the bottom and have Bradley Beal scoring 50 a game.
Yeah, I think I have the same or a similar opinion for all the players that the Knicks have been linked to. Well, let me not say all. For Bradley Beal and Zach LaVine, I feel like in order to bring those players in, we would have to give up so much talent that we would have to go and do what the Brooklyn Nets are doing, and that would be bring people off their couch. But if we are going to have to do that, bring in some players that we thought were retired, or bring in some cap casualties, or some players that get cut, we don't have the most attractive destination. I don't think if you say to a free agent, hey, come play with Zach LaVine and Julius Randle, like, they're going to be like, all right, what are we going to do? Be first round exits? I'd rather get a smaller role on a team that could go further than get a larger role on a team I know is not built to really contend even in the East. Like, who are we left with? We're going to be relying on a Taj Gibson. We're going to be relying on Elfrid Payton even more. Because remember, Elfrid Payton has a no trade clause. So he's probably not getting included in any kind of deal. So he's still going to be here. Maybe we still have Austin Rivers if he's not included. But if you're going to trade for Beal and Zach LaVine, 2 players that play a lot of shooting guard, you would expect RJ to be included in that deal. So now you're going to tell me we're going to build around 2 or 3, 2 players. It would either be Randle and either Beal or LaVine. We're going to build around 2 players that continually have shown they have not been enough to carry teams or be a marquee talent that can will their team to success. And they also have not elevated the level of play for their teammates or for the team. Because if not, they wouldn't have terrible win-loss records. I think both of those teams have worse records than we do. The Wizards are
Exactly.
what, 3-11? Or
Something like
3-12? I think they just lost last night. And what are the Cavs?
I mean, you mean the Bulls?
I mean the Bulls. Oh, I'm bugging.
You are the Bulls are 7-10. So we're the 8th seed, they're the 10th seed.
Yeah, and I would argue when you break down the roster, just talent for talent, the Wizards might be probably a more talented team than we are. You know, they have a Rui who, for some reason, is always hurt. Homie had pink eye to start the season, and then he had the Rona, I think, and I don't know what's been going on. He's still been out. They've got Avdija, who they drafted this year and will continue to develop. They've Bradley Beal, who we're talking about, and they got Brickbrook. So they have all these talented players on the roster, and they also have some spare parts. So you think we're going to be that much better than the Wizards if we go bring Beal and pair him with Julius Randle? No. You look at the Bulls. The Bulls have a talented young roster. I don't understand why they can't put it together. They've got what? They got Kobe White. They've got Laurie. They've got Wendell Carter. Like they've got Zach LaVine. They've got pieces.
So, yeah, they probably had decent pieces.
Yeah, so you think if we're gonna take Zach LaVine and pair him with even less, we're gonna get more? Like no. And Simba Singh is also echoing something that I would want to say as well. Prefer us trade in the offseason. I think if we make a trade right now, the amount of attention this team would get, because it would kind of signal to everybody that this is the year, or the next couple of years are going to be the year for the Knicks. And you're going to have all that pressure on the team, and you're not going to have enough to deliver. You're supposed to undersell, over-deliver. You know, if you go out there and bring in a Zach LaVine or Bradley Beal, post, oh, the time is now. Daily news, they're in it to win. Like, it's going to be crazy. I think we should calm down, continue to assess our team, because look what RJ's been doing. Like, they had a image or a visual at last night's game. They were saying RJ was shooting like 40-something% from three. And I was like, since when? Like RJ's been decent so far. And then you still got IQ. And let's see what we have with Obi. I feel like if we use Obi in the right ways, you're going to see that this team has enough talent to be legitimate contenders. And let's showcase our talent. And in the offseason, if you want to make a deal because you feel like we don't have enough, we have all these players still under contract outside of DSJ and Frank Nitty. We can make a move in the offseason once we can make a final verdict for these players. But I feel like for us to go and kind of give up a haul, like we're going to trade all these picks. Look what they traded for James Harden. They traded 3 firsts, right? And the ability to swap 4 others.
No, they traded everything.
Like, come on. Like, so if we're going to do a similar trade for either Beal or Zach LaVine, how are we then going to replenish the roster and build around them? Yes, we'll have some cap space next offseason, but at that point, it's going to be Kawhi or bust. Because I think Kawhi is the only real marquee free agent on the team.
Yeah.
On the free agent market. So it would either be Kawhi or bust, or we're not going to have much to really build out this team and add some depth. So I don't know. I wouldn't make a move. I feel like it would be premature. I feel like if we can build out this roster a little bit and we can show some of these players are legit NBA talent, players, then we can probably get a little bit more, like with DSJ, sending him down to the G-League. Let's say he shows some flashes in a week or two. We bring him up and let him play, and maybe we can include him in a deal where we don't need to add a first. Maybe he showed enough to say, all right, he can be a sweetener in a deal instead of having to add another first or a swap.
No, I mean, absolutely. The last thing we need to do is trade for anything big. And what concerns me is the fact that the only people that are being named is point guards. Like, you're hearing names like Zach LaVine, Beal obviously is a shooting guard, Lonzo, Derrick Rose, and we're already facing an issue where we want Quickley to get more minutes, and he's not because of Payton. And like we mentioned, Payton has a no trade clause, and Thibodeau plays Payton. So with us trading for another point guard, I feel like my concern is that it's just going to diminish minutes for Quickley, because again, Payton is solidified, so you're not going to trade for a point guard and not play him. So that's my only concern. Like, why are we?
Derrick Rose one that made no sense to me.
Yeah. That, I mean, I feel like that was just completely Thibodeau. He's just.
Yeah, like what are we bringing in Derrick Rose to do? He's a 32-year-old point guard with injury concerns or injury history, and he's only got a couple months left on his contract. Why are we going to invest time into a Derrick Rose to try to scrape and become eligible for the play-in game? Like, to me, that kind of insulted me. I was like, what? We're targeting Derrick Rose? Why? What are we going to give
up the MVP season?
Yeah, like what? Like, I understand you have a rapport with him, and I understand he knows your system and he knows how to, maybe he can help out some of these younger players and show them what to do. But Derrick Rose has been a solid player this season. He's been decent, so he's gonna have a bidding war. It's gonna cost something substantial to kind of bring him in if other teams are bidding the price up. So if we're a team that's a fringe playoff team at best, what are we gonna do with Derrick Rose? Okay, we moved from the 10th seed and now we're 8th seed, and we're hosting the play-in game now or whatever, even though the stands are empty. Like, I don't really see the benefit of bringing in a Derrick Rose.
Nah, and hold up, where was that comment at? Hold on. I just want to shout out Chris Marshall, who said that KP is making that Dallas pick more valuable. Absolutely.
Yo, imagine if we have 2 lottery picks. I mean, it's highly unlikely, but why would you want to ship those away in a draft that we know is going to be talented? We could maybe legitimately find our starting point guard next offseason. And you know what would be great? That would mean IQ would be able to blossom as potentially one of the best 6 men in the league. I'm fine with that. I want IQ to start this year because clearly he's the best option. But in the future, if we bring in another point guard and make IQ the leading player off the bench, I'm cool with that too. But at least if we have our picks, we have options, and we have maximum flexibility. We can make decisions and not have to go out there and just try to bring in the first big name when our roster is not ready for that kind of addition. We're going to bring them in, and we're just going to give them a larger market to complain.
That's really it.
Yeah, that's pretty much what we're going to do. They're going to have a larger market to complain. They're going to have more newspapers to be on the back of. They're going to get more segments on First Take. Like, nah.
And so, I mean, the one other, obviously, trade rumor is Lonzo. How do you feel about that one?
See, Lonzo, I'm cool with Lonzo if we're giving up spare parts. Like, if we're giving up, like, I kind of want to keep Frank, but if we give up Frank and maybe a second, then cool. That I'll do. Because Lonzo at least has upside. Lonzo's young. Lonzo would be in-house. We can see how he works with our team, and then we can make a decision at the end of the season to re-sign him. But Derrick Rose, you're like, Derrick Rose is on his final year. He could come here and then decide, all right, I'm out.
And retire.
Or retire, yeah. And then, you know, Bradley Beal and Zach LaVine are both tied up for longer. They have more years on their deal, but Bradley Beal, his deal's kind of crazy. How much he making? Like 40-something mil, like Westbrook, like Brickbrook and them, right?
Yeah.
So he's making like 40-something mil. Zach LaVine's about to get the bag. So I'd rather bring in Lonzo. Lonzo, he had a good game, I think, last night. I got him in fantasy, so I keep track on him that way. So he might not command anything crazy, you know, maybe 15 mil for Lonzo, 10, 15 mil, if you can get something like that when he's already on your team, and get him before he hits, he's going to hit restricted. But who knows what these teams out here are going to give him. I don't think anybody's giving him a max. So I'd still take that flyer on Lonzo with with our second round pick, knowing that we already have an extra first. So, you know, that second round pick is just icing on the cake.
No, I like I said, I agree. Like I'm in favor of us getting Lonzo. I feel like he would mesh well with the talent that we have. I think he would be a good boost for Mitchell Robinson's offense for sure. He'd be able to find him just like Quickley does. And it would just be good to have 2 point guards who can genuinely play that position, who can find the open man, who can get people involved. And then with that one season that Lonzo had, he proved that he has it within him to hit shots consistently. Obviously, this season he's taken, it hasn't been as good, but he's shown that he has the potential to do that. So, and he's already known as a decent defender. So, adding him to our already
and we have a young team. Lonzo's very good at grabbing rebounds, and he can help spark the transition. I think Obi, Knox, IQ, they all look great in transition. RJ, if we could actually get this team to start pushing the ball a little bit, and that's something we can do with Lonzo, I think it'll open things up and make life a lot easier. Get the team going, get the bench fired up. Because once IQ starts killing and the bench start getting fired up, like you see IQ swimming on the floor, like everybody's like, you feel that energy. Like it sucks we can't be there. Yeah, it's fun, and I understand we have a young team, so they aren't riddled with veterans up and down the roster. We are going to have to create our own energy, and to see IQ be out there having fun, be vibrant, getting everybody involved is dope. So to get younger and to bring in younger players, I'm fine with, as long as we ain't giving up anything crazy. But to bring in a Bradley Beal and a Zach LaVine, who we're gonna have to pay an enormous amount of money, because Zach LaVine's definitely getting the max. At least it's questionable if Lonzo's getting the max or not. And even if Lonzo gets a max, his max is going to be nowhere near what a Zach LaVine max would give. So we'd still maintain some sort of roster flexibility.
No, I mean, I agree. I feel like Beal and LaVine aren't worth it. It's not worth giving up what we already have. And it's honestly not worth the money because, like we mentioned, like, let's say we have a miracle where we only give up both our first round picks and players we don't play for Bradley Beal. That's not enough. That's a first round exit. If that's a first round exit. Like, with players like Beal, who are clearly beasts, you still need a second superstar.
To me, LaVine and Beal are two players that are not, they may have alpha personalities, but they aren't alphas in terms of willing their teams to victory.
Exactly.
Like Bradley Beal's out there throwing up 50 points a game and he's still catching L's. Like, that's wild. And he's not even catching L's against some of the elite teams. He just be catching L's against regular Eastern Conference teams. And I'm sitting there like, dang, he's dropping 50. The Wizards ain't that terrible. He got Brickbrook on it by his side. He got Rui, Avdija, and I think McConnell's on. Is McConnell on that team or McConnell's on the Pacers? I think McConnell's on the Pacers.
McConnell?
Like, yeah, he used to be on the Wizards, I think, and now he's on the Pacers. So they've still got a decent enough roster to compete. I just don't know what they're doing out there. It could be coaching. It definitely could be coaching, and that's why maybe some fans think, okay, we'll do better if they come here. But Tibbs is a great defensive coach, but is he going to install something in the offense that's going to get these guys to play great? I don't think so.
Oh, yeah. And then Wham Production said, but don't we need a star to attract another star? In my opinion, honestly, no. I feel like we need a win to attract another star. I feel like if people start seeing the Knicks in the playoffs consistently, then they're going to want to come because they know that if they end up going to the Knicks and do win a chip, their career is solidified.
And think about it. What star player was on the Nets before they attracted KD and Kyrie? It wasn't a star on that team. What star was on the Lakers before they attracted LeBron James? They pulled up because they liked the young talent, because one, they could either play and get or help those young talented players get that. They could either play and help some of the young players get better. So one, they could either help compete with them, or two, they could use it as a farm system and get them out of here. That's exactly what the Lakers and the Nets did. They got everybody out of here. So that's how you get star players. You attract a star or two stars, and then you move pieces that other people or other teams find value in, and that's how you build the team. You don't just trade all the young players you have on your team for one star, because then nobody won't come with them. Because clearly you can see one star is not cutting it. Even unless you're LeBron. LeBron had the Lakers at what, the 4th seed before he got hurt?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they were the 4th seed before he got hurt and missed the playoffs. So maybe LeBron's the only real one. And KD. KD was out there with nobody and he beat the brakes off us.
That's fair.
Yeah, you need multiple stars if you're gonna be a legit championship contender. If you just want to get into the playoffs, maybe Zach LaVine and Julius Randle will get you there in the East, but it's just gonna be running in place if we were to do something like that. It's gonna be continuous first round exits. and not not getting high enough draft spots to get a legitimate game-changing talent. Like we would have to be like the Bucks and hope our staff finds a gem, late in the first or in the mid first, like they did with Giannis. I think Giannis was like the 14th pick or something.
14th, yeah.
Yeah. Or like the Spurs and how they did it with Kawhi.
What, yo? You know what? But later on in years, they're gonna be saying, "Oh, like the Knicks and how they did it with Quickley." Let's go.
I hope so, bro, because he's out there looking great. I mean,
yeah, they better start mentioning him for Rookie of the Year. Like he better be up there with them.
Honestly, bro, the fact that we drafted Quickley kind of saves this regime from getting bashed because Halliburton out there looking real good. Halliburton had a hell of a game last night.
And Obi.
Yeah, I mean Obi had a 3. Yo, Obi had a nice little jelly roll. Did you see the jelly roll?
No, yeah, I saw like.
Yeah, no, it was all right, bro.
I thought he was gonna call offensive foul because he clearly pushed off.
But But yeah, I was like, okay, Obi attacking the basket. That's what I want to see more of. Obi with a full head of steam to the basket and not, causing a foul. I think that's where he operates best. This whole pick and pop nonsense that they out there doing, like, I mean, not pick and pop nonsense, but him just being a spot up shooter, catch and shoot. Like, no, let him get in the paint, let him get acclimated to the league. I feel like it's hard to get into the game when you're not a catch and shoot shooter that's being told to catch and shoot, like for the first time really in the NBA. I think it's crazy what they try to do with Obi.
No, yeah, it don't make sense. Because he's a player who he's old. Like he's already set in his way. So let's put him in positions to make him shine. Because there's not that much room to change him and develop him into someone else. Mm-hmm. And unlike other rookies, he doesn't have that much time to get used to the A. Like he needs to be good immediately because he's close to his prime.
Yeah, and the Knicks, they do get some pick and roll action with Obi from time to time. Like what I'm seeing with the Knicks, they'll have this set. Well, they'll have both Obi and Nerlens Noel set picks, and then each play they'll have them each do something different, and it's been productive for the most part. But even when they're running those plays, you'll see Obi do that, and he'll either fade to the elbow to shoot a 3, or he'll cut across the court to the corner 3. And I'm like, why is that all he's really being asked to do is stand and catch and shoot 3s? Let's see him get to the basket. Let's create some mismatches in the pick and roll and see if he can eat that way. Because IQ can clearly run the pick and roll, and I think Obi, Mitch, they all benefit from the pick and roll. So let's see some more of it.
No, yeah, I mean, but these are adjustments that Thibodeau just needs to be aware of and make in game. Let me see.
What's called IQJ is saying IQ is a better defender than Payton. Look at the stats. Sports Vibes Facts. Hey, bars. Mic drop.
No, yeah, Payton's trash. I think that's
I don't understand why people keep saying IQ a bad defender. I don't see him being a terrible defender. I see him being an okay defender. He's decent. He's serviceable. But people act like he's terrible.
I feel like he's disruptive. Like he almost gets steals. He doesn't always get them, but he almost gets them. Like people lose the ball.
Mm-hmm. And he's always vocal. You see him pointing out, calling out, letting people know where they're supposed to be or where he's going to be. So I think I don't get the argument that Payton is a better defender, and that's why he's getting the bulk of the minutes.
No, and then May the 4th said Obi should shoot for right now. Too crowded for him with Randall and RJ.
He doesn't play a lot of minutes with Randall though. You see Obi out there with Nerlens Noel, and if you go I understand you saying it's a little too packed, especially when they start playing the 2-3 zone. But when they go man, there's space on the court with IQ out there. It's with Elfrid Payton that the whole paint is clogged up. It ain't that bad with IQ on the court. And you'll see they'll try to throw the 2-3 zone, and then IQ do something, and then they got to go right back to man.
We got Sherman M. I guess he's a Payton fan.
Maybe.
He said Payton is the best defensive play in the A, which is extra. And then he said IQ is one of the worst 3 defenders in the A.
He said Payton is a top what defender?
He said
I'm asking you. I could read it myself. Let me see what it says.
I think he said the top defender in the A, right? Let me see. Stats don't say a damn thing about defense. Payton is the best defensive point in the NBA.
Drugs.
It gotta be.
Drugs. Before I get into it, shout out to John Mitchell, super chat $5, really appreciate it. He's saying take it easy with Mitch. He's been holding us down on defense after our wings players are consistently getting beat. Watch the games infinite. And yeah, that's true. It's the same thing last season. Mitch has been better defensively. I don't like what he's doing with those picks. It's the dumb fouls that get me upset. The more so the dumb fouls last night with him trying to set picks and setting illegal screens.
No, I mean, again, John Mitchell, my issue with Mitch is strictly offensive. Like, I hate what he does offensively. I feel like he needs to develop something because what he's doing, like, and then constantly flopping, falling on the floor, and like, he needs to stop. He's gonna get himself injured, and then he's gonna be worthless to us.
Shout out to a nudie 25. He said Quis was good.
Word, he's always in all of our vids. Yeah, what's good, Anodi?
Yeah, also, just to get back to Sher and saying Payton is the best point guard defender. What was Payton? Who was Payton defending when Lillard went out there and lit him up? He was guarding Lillard, and Lillard went out there Lillard had him looking crazy. Lillard was perfect. Perfect. You know how hard it is to be perfect in the NBA?
Yeah.
While scoring what, like 14 points? He was from the field, from three, like. And Payton is a elite defensive guard. Has
Lillard was
probably a better defender than Payton, and they're gonna give you the same poor shooting. Shoot,
but at least one of them will get you some assists.
Yeah, well, Payton will get you some assists. They just got to go to Randall. And Mitch here and there. He'll hit Mitch up here and there occasionally.
Rarely.
But let me. Oh no, yeah. Let me see what else going on here in the chat. Oh.
Lillard can shoot from half court. True. Logo Lillard.
I like the fact that IQ starting to show his range. He's starting to step a little bit further back from the three.
I mean, he always been doing that, but before they was rushed. Now, now he.
You're right. Good point. They were rushed. What's this? Payton was guarding the coach versus Portland. What Payton need to worry about is defending his starting spot. That's what he need to worry about playing defense on, because IQ better take that real quick. I don't know what Tibbs is doing. Like, Tibbs is just frustrating me. I feel like if he would have brought in Atkinson, who I wanted as coach, I think you would see Payton starting right now.
No, absolutely.
IQJ said Payton fans are sick that he probably won't be on the NBA team soon.
Well, I didn't know that there was a such thing as Payton fans, though. That's honestly a surprise to me. I'm not even gonna front.
What's crazy to me is if Amon Shumpert could get a job before Elfrid Payton, if he were to cut him. I mean, let's be honest, Elfrid Payton would get a job, but just fooling. But based on that tape from Payton, I'm like, he's gonna have to prove himself in the G League real quick.
He needs to do a lot better. He's the same age as Randall. What is he talking about?
Yeah, Carly, who you talking about? Who's the same age? I think LaVine is the same age.
He said Payton needs to develop a damn jump shot.
Payton?
Yeah, it's not too late.
It's quiet for Payton. Throwing the flag. Wave the white towel.
Dame and Quickley are texting each other, expecting to do workouts this offseason. Oh, I didn't know that. That's dope.
Word. There goes a gem. Thank you, Wayne Peterson. I'm halfway blind. I couldn't even see. My fault. I didn't know they were going to stop working out together. That's dope. You see? So we have a point guard on our roster right now that is garnering the respect of other elite stars at point guard in this league, and Tibbs don't want to play him. It's crazy.
Nah, did you see what Drevo said? He's like, Payton been in the league for 8 years. IQ been in the league for 20 games, and he passed his career high in points.
Well, he also passed RJ's career high in points too.
Yo, that's crazy. Man. Yeah, but like RJ hasn't been in the league 8 years. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, true. You're right. But I mean, I like the combo we got. Like that IQ RJ combo. We got two players. We just refer to them by their first and last initials. That's
Word.
lit. That's lit. So, but let's just touch on this. Did we talk about DSJ going? We touched on it briefly, but we didn't really give our thoughts on it, did we?
I mean, no, we both agreed that like it was a smart move for DSJ to decide, and I'm a fan of it because if he proves that he's worth anything, then hopefully his trade value goes up. And you said before we even think about trade value, if he improves, then we should actually think of putting him in over Payton.
What you call it? Where was it? A Nudie 25 said Doom meant Gary Payton is a good defender, not Alfred. Jonathan JD dropping some gems. He said DeJounte Murray, Patrick Beverly, Drew Holiday, Mike Conley, Ball. I would assume Lonzo because LaMelo don't play much defense. Smart, Schroeder, Graham, all night and day better defenders at the position.
Easily. I forgot about Mike Conley.
Facts. Yo, they interviewed him earlier, and they were talking about him never becoming an all-star in his career, and he said that it kind of sucks that he's never going to be one because I don't think he's going to be one this year.
No, I mean he hasn't really done much on the Jazz.
Well, he's been steady for him. Donovan Mitchell has come and gone, so he's been a consistent force for them. He should have made it maybe one year with the Grizzlies, but to be honest. Right. You out there in Memphis, ain't nobody really watching your games. Your games come on late, and they come on when you in Memphis. Ain't nobody really watching that.
I mean, honestly, he should be proud of the fact that he got that $145 million contract.
Yo, who was it? His uncle or his cousin who finessed him?
Somebody finessed him?
Did you not hear what you just said? They paid him? Finesse.
Oh, I thought you meant like, out of his own money. And I was like, what?
Nah, he finessed whatever team paid him that. The Grizzlies. Yeah, that was a finesse.
Yeah. Exactly. So I'm like, if I'm him, I'm just being like, listen, I don't care if I made the All-Star game or not. I got 145 mil. I'm good. Like I ain't never right? Grizzlies.
Yeah. But all right, chat. Make sure you smash that like button, and if you aren't subscribed already, make sure you're subscribed and you have the bell icon turned on. That way you're notified whenever we have a new Knicks State of Mind show coming to you. We have this show weekends, 8 p.m. Make sure you're here to catch it. We love talking to you guys down in the chat. And if you got anything else to say, I'm probably going to wrap it up here.
Just responding to Cully, who said Amari wanted a bag. Good. I mean, A-Stat, let's go. We Amari fans out here. He's a real one. He's the only one who wanted to come to the Knicks when nobody was here. He came during the lockout. And because of that, that's when Melo wanted to come. So
Melo ain't won't pull up until after Amari was already here. So I'm always bang with Amari. I like him. He's probably one of my favorite Knicks. Definitely up there. So I'm cool with him making his money. Yeah. Dolan paid everybody their money. Dolan was playing Jerome James crazy money then it wasn't even. You know the amount of people we done paid. We are still paying Joakim Noah.
For playing like 10 games with us.
Right? This year and next year, we are still paying. And I don't know why he had beef with Phil. You was getting your money, bro. You should have been like, Phil, man, whatever you say, I'm going to do because you the best.
Exactly. Yeah, call him Pop Pop.
All right, but we're going to wrap it up here. So once again, I'm Quis, host of Knicks State of Mind show, joined as usual by my co-host Inf.
Catch all of y'all.
And we're out.